Good afternoon.
Call to order.
Welcome. We'll call to order the April meeting of the Trinity Metro Board of Directors meeting. In our chair, Jeff Davis's absence, I will run this meeting, so please bear with me. Our first item is citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments? We have no citizen comments. We'll next go into our committee reports, and we'll go on to, we'll skip the regional RTC meeting for now, and we'll go to a commuter rail committee work session. Charles Edmonds.
Yes, sir. Brief report. Mr. Chairman, the safety report for the Commuter Rail Committee is that both TexRail and TRE continue to have outstanding safety performance and now following new TSA guidance, which no longer requires the use of masks, making them optional for our people and our customers. In terms of operations, both commuter rail lines continue exceeding on-time performance goals. Ridership continues to increase for both rail lines. And as an informational item, the Commuter Rail Committee is discussing in detail and seeking feedback on the potential of adopting overnight and extended parking for 5 TexRail stations. And I'll add to that just one little small information item, and that is just so we can be more conversant as board members about our operation here. Our TexRail trains have 229 seats per train, and we are running approximately 73 trips a day, although some of them are short trips to and from the rail system. So I just thought you might want to have those items on the tip of your tongue, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Edmonds. Next up, we're going to pass over the POM Committee report for now. We'll go to our Finance and Audit Committee. We'll call on Nick Genoa.
Thank you, Tito. Sales tax collections for February 22 increased by 26% over February 21. Grapevine contributions, thank you, Paul, for January were up by 41% from January 21. Overall sales tax collections for fiscal year 22 have grown by 10%, translating into a $4 million increase over budget. Overall revenues for fiscal year 22 are up from budgeted levels despite COVID-related grant funding timing issues, and it's primarily due to the strong tax and fare collections that we've been receiving. Overall expenses for fiscal year 22 are under budget due primarily to timing differences, savings from the use of retirement forfeitures, and lower staffing levels. Balance sheet is consistent with prior months, and the Finance and Audit Committee has no action items this month. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Genoa. Next, we'll go to Access Advisory Committee, and we'll call on Charlotte Williams.
We're actually going to go to Ben first for bike share, and then we're going to come back to access.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chairman, is it okay to proceed here?
Yes, sir, please.
All right, so with a quick update on Fort Worth bike sharing and our committee report, we met a few weeks back, reviewed our 2021 ridership, and really excited to see continued growth there. And part of that attributable growth is continuing to grow our service area, which has been very well received in the market. And we're constantly looking for new stations and new opportunities to take that and especially justifying that against, juxtaposing that against our data and where potential new station placement would really benefit our program. Secondly, we covered and discussed the need to roll our stations to a more app-based, app-centric system that will allow us to better service all of our users. Specifically, many of our stations that we have right now utilize a model that involves technology that is really hard to get replacement parts for, and we're constantly trying to replace broken screens or some of the back-end equipment, and by rolling to an app-based system with support from the call center when needed, we're able to provide a great service without a constant concern of any of our stations being broken down. So it helps us achieve our primary focus of making sure we can get these bikes to the people that want to use them when they want to use them. And this is a standard practice. Jennifer and her team kind of did some research and what some of our sister cities are doing, and this is turning into a standard practice across the board for these bike types systems. Finally, as we continue to discuss growth opportunities and what we are projecting in this coming year and the years past, again, with Jennifer's team's research, it has become relevant, or, need to bump the price a little bit on what we're doing to stay, in line with market conditions and market rates for similar systems throughout the state and the communities. And so she'll be coming forward here in a little bit with an action item, BA 2022-31, to discuss a little bit about a rate increase for our bike sharing. But this was unanimously approved and supported by my entire committee, and we're excited to continue to see the growth and see what we can do with that across our bike sharing system.
Okay. Thank you, Ben.
You're next.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready now.
Access Advisory Committee report, Charlotte Williams.
Thank you.
Take it away,
Access,
Charlotte.
Access continues to run effectively and efficiently with no safety issues, no customer complaints. We also were really excited, though, to add a new committee member this last month at our last meeting. We don't have any agenda items for our next meeting. That's it.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'll go on now to our first item, which was the Regional Transportation Council. Chair Davis is our representative on the council, and I am the alternate. The RTC was held on Thursday, April the 14th, for an in-person session at the North Central Texas Council of Government in Arlington. An item of note was a presentation given by Michael Morris on the RAISE grant. Michael identified that Trinity Metro indicated that the agency would submit a RAISE grant and then informed the COG that they wouldn't. City of Fort Worth and Trinity Metro worked together to find funding to replace the RAISE grant of $25 million for the Texarkana extension. Otherwise, the meeting was uneventful. Okay, that concludes our committee reports. We'll go on now to our action item, and it is BA 2022-31, Fort Worth Bike Sharing Fare Change Request. We'll call on Jennifer Grissom. Thank you, Jennifer.
Good afternoon. Jennifer Grissom, Director of Fort Worth Bike Sharing. I am on page 5 for our action item. A little bit of history there. The Fort Worth Bike Sharing Advisory Committee recommends a day pass price increase from $8 to $10. This will allow us to be more in line with industry and also help us offset some of those rising costs to keep the bikes and the kiosks going, and hopefully allow us for a little bit of revenue to purchase additional electric assist bikes, which have been requested multiple times by the public. We did hold a public meeting about this and had no comments, but I am happy to answer any questions you have.
Jennifer, how long has the bike share program been?
We just had our 9th birthday.
Really?
Yes.
Are you at all worried about a wave of bikes that are being retired?
Yes, we are, which is why we would like to replace them with the electric assist bikes. We have quite a few bikes that have done their good life. Yeah.
So that wave could be coming.
Very much so.
What's average replacement cost?
It's about $2,500 a bike for the electric assist bike when you have an extra battery and shipping and, yeah.
Any other questions of Jennifer? If not, can we get a motion, please?
Motion, Ben Roberts.
We have a motion? We have a second? Okay, second by Nick. All right, can we have a vote? All those in favor say yay? Yay. All opposed, nay? And the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next item is our consent agenda. And, should I read that? No. Okay, are there any items on the consent agenda that need to be withdrawn or that a member requests to be withdrawn? Seeing none, we ask for a motion to accept.
Chairman, I move. Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second by Nick. Motion by Charles, second by Nick. All those in favor, yay? Yay. All opposed? Nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Fort Worth Transportation Authority Scholarship Recipients, and we'll call on Christina Champion.
All right, thank you. I'm Christina Champion, the HR manager here at Trinity Metro, and I get the pleasure of announcing our 2022-23 scholarship awards. This year, we awarded 8 scholarships for a total of $11,750 for the upcoming academic year. Please help me in congratulating the following scholarship recipients. Michaela Carson is the daughter of bus operator Michelle Small. Michaela is attending the University of Houston, majoring in public health, and was awarded $1,250. Luke Hanna is the son of Laura Hanna, Director of Communication. Luke is attending Texas Tech as a finance major and was awarded $1,500. Ariela Lopez, daughter of Ruben Salas, fleet manager, reliability manager. Ariel is attending Tyler Junior College for nursing and was awarded $2,000. Mariah Minjarez is also the daughter of Ruben Salas. She's attending Tarleton as a kinesiology major and was awarded $1,750. Hannah Palacios is the daughter of Veronica Palacios, Executive Administrative Assistant. Hannah is attending St. Edward's University as a law major and was awarded $1,750. Colton Shoup, son of Mark Shoup, our Access Administration Supervisor. Colton is attending Tarleton as a marketing major and was awarded $1,500. Ariana McCurran is the daughter of Christina Ware, one of our technical trainers. Ariana is attending Tarrant County College and is interested in pursuing medical sonography and was awarded $1,000. Lastly, Josiah Davis, son of Jennifer James, one of our bus operators. Josiah is attending Tarrant County College and is interested in pursuing welding and was awarded $1,000. So I appreciate all of your continued support from the board and all of our employees. Do you have any questions? They are not here. Sorry.
I should probably know this, but how are scholarships funded?
We do an annual golf scholarship tournament to raise the funds, and so whatever proceeds we make from that goes into the pot of money. Sure. Y'all do as well, yes.
Congratulations to the recipients. And Christina, thank you to you and your committee for the hard work that you do with your fundraising. I visited the golf tournament last year, and
Yes, it was great.
it was a great success. So thank you so much
Great, I appreciate
for
it.
your
Thank
hard
you.
work. And congratulations again to the recipients and their parents. Okay, next item on the agenda is capital projects update, and we'll call on Chad Edwards.
Good afternoon. Chad Edwards, VP of Planning and Development, here to share an update on the capital projects. Thanks for having me here today. You should have a handout in front of you at your place. You can tell I've brought my capital projects workbook. It's probably a little bit larger. Thank you very much, Nick, for bringing that. Mine's a little bit larger because I keep adding things to it in case you guys ask me questions. So we'll see if I can answer those today. We'll have it up on the screen here in a few minutes. So just as a quick overview, I just wanted to let you guys know about the work that we've done over the last several weeks since our last board meeting. A lot of work has gone into getting to the point where we are today and being able to share this with you. You want me to plug this in? Somebody's got to turn a switch over there. As far as our agenda, I'll review our recent funding developments that have occurred and then update on the project since our last board meeting. Now, this project, we were talking earlier today, and this presentation can go one of two ways for you guys. It could go very quickly or really long today. It just is up to you on how much you want me to talk and how many questions you ask. So what I'll start off with is a quick summary. And so there's a lot of good news here on this page, and I'll orient you very quickly on this. And so on the left-hand side, this is a very similar chart that you've seen previously that's in your workshop booklet. You have the projects on the left-hand side there. I've modified this to include our current project cost, the TM local share that was presented previously, and now the TM Trinity Metro local share that we've currently worked out with the Council of Governments. And then some considerations or notes, if you will, there on the right-hand side. You'll notice that the Trinity Lake Station and parking lot cost has changed from $32.3 million. This was a working number that we had that included the station, the parking, track realignment to get a tangent or a straight track for the station, and then we had also included a cost for the access road from Trinity Boulevard up to the station. That's probably an eighth of a mile or so. It's kind of a long road, but it's longer than a driveway. So we had included that cost in there. We found out through meetings with the developer that he and his group are taking care of that access road and the cost of that. So that's why the cost has been reduced from 32.3 to $26.7 million, which is a good news thing for us. The challenge for us is that now we have to coordinate very closely with the developer to make sure that the access road is built at the same time or before the parking lot so that we don't have a station and a parking lot that's out there and it's a dirt road to it. So we want to make sure that we build those together so everybody can get there and access that station. So going across that same row there, you see the Trinity Metro local share, $6.4 million. That's what we had identified previously in our presentations. Currently, what we've done is working with the Council of Governments is identified, it's essentially 100% federal funding, and the local match is covered by transportation development credits, which allows us a credit for our local match. And I have my next slide, I have a definition of TDCs for you. So if you want to read that, that's going to be on page 4 there. So that's kind of the overview of that first line, and then considerations there tells you where those dollars have been moved to. So the $6.4 million that are now being covered by our transportation development credits get moved to the TexRail extension project. Okay? And so very quickly through the rest of these, our high-intensity bus guaranteed transit. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The 26.7, who's actually going to be funding that?
That will be 100% federal funds.
Full 26.7?
Yes, sir.
We'll take it.
And we'll take it. That's right. That's right. Our high-intensity bus guaranteed transit project, we've identified at $16 million. We had $3.2 million identified for that project. Though that project also will be covered by TDCs, which will convert it to 100% federal. And again, the $3.2 million goes to the TexRail project. You'll notice that a lot of these dollars will go to the TexRail project, partly because the TexRail project's $167 million. So that's our most expensive project, and it needed some funding, local funds from us on that. It's also a project that the North Central Texas Council of Governments and the RTC would like to see funded first out of all these, partly because of the $38.9 million that we have from our full funding grant agreement, which is the underrun money that we have for TexRail. There's no changes on the TRE modernization double tracking project at this time. On Katy Lofts, we were able to work with the city, and it's really the city's idea. Dana Bergdorf came up with this thought that, well, if we don't need this $11.3 million federal dollars on the Katy Lofts project, because the Katy Lofts project is moving on without that funding, then can we utilize those funds that are sitting there and put it onto the Textrail project? The city, at that particular meeting, the city recommitted that they would not only put in the $12.6 million that they had identified for a raise grant application that we were unsuccessful at, but they would add $1 million to help round it up to the 25, so $13.6 million. So that was really good for us, and you can see that identified in the Katy Lofts project there. Textrail extension, $167 million for the current project. The local share that we had identified previously was $56.6 million. We've been able to reduce that down to $48 million, and the rest of it will be federal funds covered with TDCs. East Lancaster project, I'll get into that one here in a few minutes. But you can see there, $0, not anything with TDCs. There's an infra grant, infrastructure, I'm sorry, I can't remember the acronym for it off the top of my head. An infra grant that the Council of Governments is going to submit in the next month or so that we're going to work very closely with them on to get those fundings and complete that application. And then the total down there, you can see where the Trinity Metro local share that we were looking for last time I met with you guys was $101.5 million. We've been able to reduce that down to $62 million. And then you can see that $39.5 million in savings after working. Sorry, that is, I'm gonna keep working through that. Yes, sir, go ahead. Go anytime, you guys can interrupt me anytime.
So when are we going to start the extension?
When can we start the extension? We'll have to get all this approved through the board and through the Council of Governments, through RTC. That's not been approved yet. And then as soon as that's done, then we can start that process of an RFP to get out for the finalization of the project.
And so what are we talking, 2 years, 3 years?
To what point in time? To start it?
No, finish.
Oh, to finish it? It'll probably take 3 years. 2026 would be that time frame, so 4 years. Yeah.
That's where you are currently. I mean, that's where we are, you think 2026.
2026 for the completion of the project, yes.
And then one other question. TRE modernization, tell me again, what do we benefit from double tracking out there?
So the benefit for the double tracking out there is that we get additional double tracking that would complete the western part of the region as far as a double tracking. This particular project in and of itself doesn't necessarily add any capacity for us for TRE individually, but if you look at it as a larger incremental project, it's step 1 or 2 in completely double tracking the TRE on the western side of the region.
So who do you think benefits the most?
That would more than likely be the freight railroads, because there's more capacity out there.
And what's their share?
Currently $2 million.
It's a long way from 73 million.
It is. So there's probably more on that we can talk about here in a few minutes. Okay.
Well, if I may add in, don't forget that the railroad's a very good customers of ours. You know, we collect revenue, and this agreement ultimately will raise the amount of revenue that we get, yes. So it's, and then the other aspect is that it's just like when you talk about building sidewalks, when the communities require sidewalks, why are you building a sidewalk to nowhere? Well, eventually, they do get connected, and if you can get developers to pay for part of it, then government fills it in. It's kind of the same principle here. Our objective ultimately is to have a double-track railroad from Dallas to Fort Worth. And every bit that we can put in is building towards that goal. So, in and of themselves, they are somewhat, perhaps disconnected. This will give us a little additional flexibility, but it's getting to the double track for the whole railroad. That's ultimately what we'd like to do. Absolutely.
That's right.
Oh, it opens up all kinds of alternatives as far as your options on how you run service and so on. So, I mean, it's a good thing ultimately. Small steps.
Before we get into the weeds, Chad, I just want to take 5 seconds and acknowledge how awesome you and your team have done, and your new counterpart at the city and our council, Fort Worth Council here on the board, and the RTC. I think, in my brief tenure on this board and my long history of watching it, I think we have some of the best communication and open dialogue we've ever had as an agency and in our community. And please keep up the good work. You've now set the bar, so you have to repeat. But we do appreciate your efforts, Chad.
Thank you
and
very
your whole
much.
team.
Thank you. I'll pass that along. I know more and more. That's right. That's right. So very quickly, I can get into the details of these and kind of share some of the additional information if you are interested in that, and you guys can tell me when to stop or ask more questions or whatever that might be. What you can see here on the top of the slide, this is the Trinity Lakes project. You can see current project, updated project costs covered by TDCs for Trinity Metro local share. What I've added at the bottom is just kind of an update. We've had meetings with the developer that we've reconstituted those. They're really turning out well. We're getting a lot of feedback from them now where we didn't have that before. So that means that as we're sharing that information, we feel comfortable in the project moving forward. We have received the information that we needed from the developer on the parking lot where we were lacking that previously. The plans are probably about 80% at this point, and our engineers, Pablo and John, are looking at those to provide comments back to the developer so that they can get those incorporated into updated plans. And we're also working on developing a programmatic schedule, since we have the station that's being built, we have a parking lot that's being built, we have an access road, and then we have the double tracking of TRE as well. We need to put all those into a programmatic schedule so we know where people are when all of these projects are going to get built. And so that is now being developed with the developer so that we can make sure that we're all on the same page on that as well.
Chad, I was going to ask, when you have that schedule, not locked down, but you have it estimated, could you add a column here that we could just
Sure.
kind of see, projected dates?
That's right.
And then, if there's anything, if there's a delay, what that is, just so we can kind of track.
Sure, yeah. I think we've kind of started a precedent here by sharing the projects with the board, and that's certainly something that we can start working on and give you those timeframes and schedules so you feel more informed about how the projects are being developed.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, ma'am.
On all these projects, it's not the same developer for each project, correct?
No.
Okay.
For all of these that are listed? No, ma'am. No, not at all. No, just for the Trinity Lake Station project, the developer Ken Newell owns the property there where the station is. And so that's where we have to do that coordination. There's frontage of the TRE corridor that's along his property that we have to work with him on. There's the parking lot that's going to be on his property, the access road that's there as well. So we want to make sure that as the developer is developing and building things in that particular area, that they're working closely with us as we're doing the same thing in that area as well.
And then, Chad, how much land do you think we have for TOD out there?
That is what that area is going to be, is a huge TOD, transit-oriented development. That he's already has this plan, and I can,
You said you were going to put together a schematic or something.
yeah, apologies for that. I can share that at our next meeting on what that is.
Talking about lots of mixed use.
There's a lot going on there. It's going to be multi-story. I can't remember the height of it that he's planning, but there's a lot of development that's going to go there. It's going to be retail and residential and commercial and very nice, high-end in that area.
And Chad, if I may, we had an excellent meeting with Ken Newell and his staff, and I asked if we could do a field trip for the board to come out and actually see the site, and he said he'd be more than happy to, if it needs to be 1, 2, or 3 trips or whatever, so we can get everybody out there. So we'll work on setting that up. I
Yes.
find it very interesting, and you can actually walk the territory and see what's there and where we're fitting things in.
Yeah, thank
So
you. Thank you for that
We'll
reminder.
work that in and give you some dates for
Yeah.
that.
Okay, we'll do that. And then lastly on this page is the definition for transportation development credits. I just wanted to share with you, and hopefully this is an easy-to-understand definition. It was skimmed off of the North Central Texas Council of Governments website. So basically what it is it allows you to use 100% federal funding by using these credits, okay? So the credits are not real dollars, but they're credits. They're monopoly money, if you will. I don't know that COG actually likes me saying that, but I think it'll be all right. That applies to other things. That's right. That's right. Different colors. So next is our high-intensity bus guaranteed transit, and you can see here the project. So this is the same information that you saw on that summary slide, except for the text at the bottom there. So the bus prices have increased a little bit, so we're going to have to talk to COG and see if there's an opportunity to increase the funding for that. And then the funding, so this was already a transportation improvement program project, already listed in the TIP. And so COG has already started the process of transferring those funds to the Federal Transit Administration so we can start our process on purchasing those buses, getting them ordered. It'll take about 18 months to 2 years to get the buses. And if you remember, these are the coaches, like the charter buses. It has a low floor center, Wi-Fi, comfortable electric bus that we're looking at for this as well. So,
Chad, is this also the project where COG guarantees the?
yes, so the Council of Governments or RTC will end up guaranteeing, it's a hard word for me to say, the fares. So if we say from downtown Fort Worth up to Alliance, if we say that the bus will arrive at 8 o'clock, then, and the bus arrives, say, at 8:02, then the fares for the passengers on that particular bus will get reimbursed by the Regional Transportation Council because it's a guaranteed arrival time. Part of the reason that they feel that they can do that, and we agree, is the use of the managed lane system along I-35. And so that managed lane system was built on the premise that you had guaranteed speeds of no less than 50 miles an hour. And so if you can guarantee the speed, then you can guarantee how long it'll take to get to that destination, and then therefore you can guarantee the fare and the trip time as well. So COG will, if they haven't already, they will set aside a funding amount that can be utilized should the guaranteed transit not perform as planned. So our TRE modernization, double tracking, again, there's really, on the funding side, not much to say about that. We are working with BNSF on the trackage rights agreement with DART as well, and those have not been finalized yet. There have been some challenges in the negotiations. So we continue to work with both of those particular agencies. We did get approval for our categorical exclusion, which is our environmental documentation, to be able to move forward. However, we still need to do our engineering and final design for that particular project. We're also looking that there may have to be some noise mitigation since the TRE corridor The double tracking of the TRE corridor is next to a neighborhood of homes that are right along the corridor. So we're just trying to, we'll look into that as we continue the design there. I mentioned Katy Lofts earlier. This is a project that has kind of come and gone and come again. And this is a project where it would be a transit-oriented development on the south side near Vickery at the TNP station. And so there's some federal funds that were identified for that we were supposed to swap with local funds with the Council of Governments. That didn't work out because we didn't have any additional local funds to actually do the swap with. And we didn't need any more federal funds at that particular time. So this is where the city and Trinity Metro had worked together to identify an opportunity to maybe move those funds to another project, which was the Tex Rail extension. You can see my notes here. We had a meeting with Councilwoman Beck and Mike Brennan, who's the Near South Side Inc. president, on the 30th of March, which really kind of spurred that idea of being able to utilize those funds. It was a great collaborative meeting there. Near South Side and Trinity Metro obviously have heard that there's developers that are interested in this again, and we'll end up providing a request for information that goes out in May to share what we're trying to do with that particular area as well with Katy Lofts. The Tex Rail extension, so this was the one that, was really giving me some heartburn because of the cost of the project, right? And then the way that we needed to balance local funds and federal funds. And so you can see here, the project cost, thank goodness, has not changed between last time we spoke at 167 to 167. Our local share is now $48 million. Previously, I had mentioned it was $56 million. So there was a savings there, and you can see that in the note. That's on the side there in the considerations. And so that's some detail about the RAISE grant. We were going to submit, then we didn't because we looked at the benefit cost ratio, and it with the cost increase of the project drove down the benefit cost ratio that the U.S. Department of Transportation would look at to make their decision on selection for that particular grant. So we didn't think that it would be a good idea for us, who just last year lost the RAISE grant with a project that was 127 and a benefit cost ratio of 0.9, to then go to USDOT for a RAISE grant of 167 with a benefit cost ratio that was actually less than what it was before. What we did have confidence in is that we could, if we had enough time, we would build an application for next year to be able to pursue a RAISE grant that was much more substantial and would have increased that benefit cost ratio. The good thing is that that doesn't have to happen now because we were able to work with the city and the Council of Governments on supplementing that $25 million with the 11.3 that we had from the Katy Lofts project, and then that renewal of interest from the city of Fort Worth for 13.6. So that made that $25 million. That allowed the Council of Governments to not have to change the 3 submittals that they identified for the RAISE grant, and not have to kick one of those out to replace it with the Tex Rail grant. So that, I think it worked out for all parties involved there. Let me grab a drink here. All right, so just some numbers very quickly. They're not on the screen, but just to kind of give you a sense of what we were able to accomplish with the Council of Governments, and Michael Morris has been very involved in this as well. When I spoke to you about a month ago, we needed about $66.5 million for the Tex Rail project, okay? What we were able to do is increase the federal share from $58 million up to $110 million. So that was a $51 million increase in federal dollars. And then we were able to take we took the $41.6 million, which was the match for the full funding grant agreement, and that increased to $56 million. So that's only a $15 million increase in local funds. So if you just think about that, you know, a huge increase in funding that we were able to find and work with the Council of Governments on for that particular project. Looking at my notes here. So just some good news on that particular project there. We are still coordinating with Fort Worth and Western and with Baylor Scott and White and Union Pacific Railroad as well. So anticipation of being able to move forward, we're ready to go with each of those agencies.
Chad, what about, and again, I may be just talking thin air, but anything, you know, with A&M, with all the money they're going to be putting into, you know, close by here, and what maybe people moving back and forth between the medical district and downtown here, is there anything that we could approach A&M with?
I'm sure we can always approach them and ask for participation in the project. I don't see why not. It would just have to be strategic for them. They're here at Central Station, so we'll have to figure out how do we draw a really good parallel to the project and how it would benefit them, other than being able to bring in other riders. But so
Gig 'em.
That's right, there you go, right there.
there's so
You get two gigums though.
Put two of these two together, I like that.
usually when you ask that, you get a big whoop, but I didn't hear that. So there you go. Thank you very much. I wouldn't be able to complete my day if I didn't have that.
I think it's worthwhile to be a part of that conversation.
Okay, that's a great idea. Just make my note here. Okay. Any other questions on the tech trail extension? I'm looking at my time here. Okay. Next is the East Lancaster project. So this is a project that you notice that we didn't have any funding on. There's talk right now that based on a project that was in San Antonio where TxDOT and the Transit Authority were working together. TxDOT decided that no, they didn't want that type of project on their system, that project didn't move on, and that there might be some carryover to projects like ours here in Fort Worth. What we're trying to do is reach out to TxDOT and just kind of see if that's really the truth or not. Not that anybody's lying to us or anything, but you know, it is different regions, it is different people involved, and so we want to make sure that what we're hearing from TxDOT, from the MPO locally, from TxDOT locally, that's the case, and that's what's coming out of the Austin headquarters as well. So we're reaching out to TxDOT to talk to them about that. You probably know that Lancaster is a former Bankhead Highway between Dallas and Fort Worth, State Highway 180, so it's 40, I think, something like that. It's 6 lanes, a 50-foot median. I mean, this is, if any of us were looking for corridors for BRT and being able to use the corridor, this would be one of those that we would want to use. So we're still working on that as far as the BRT corridor. The infra grant that I had mentioned earlier, COG is working on an application so that they can potentially get roughly $100 million for that project. There's $50 million identified so far between, I think it's $40 million from the state and $10 million that's in the City of Fort Worth bond program that will be voted on May 7th. I'm giving a plug to the city over there.
Early voting starts today.
Early voting starts today. Thank you, Ben. There's $10 million for East Lancaster in that particular bond program for transportation. So that would be the $50 million, and then they would seek another $100 million from the infra grant. There is going to be a transit component. I've been assured of that. It just may not be the BRT project that we had identified. So we need to be very diligent about working with them on how that works and what it looks like, so that we don't lose out on the opportunity eventually of potentially having a BRT project along East Lancaster. All right, so that hits all the projects. This is a summary slide, just like you saw early on. So tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them, which is what I just did. Our next steps, you can see here, obviously we're going to continue refining this funding for these projects. And as we get any changes, we'll share those with the board through future presentations. As I mentioned, we'll connect with TxDOT on East Lancaster and hear it straight from them on the potential impacts that it may have on their particular system corridor project there. We'll support City of Fort Worth on the TxRail funding resolution as it's being drafted. I don't know if it's been put on the docket or not, but I'll talk to Kelly about that. And then we'll support DART, who's obviously our TRE partner on the BNSF agreement as well. So a lot going on. I think for next time, I'd like to actually present to either the POM committee or to the finance committee in May this information as an action item so that the board can take action. This will then help inform Fred and the budget so that we can identify what those funding numbers are. And so hopefully you'll be available for us to do that. Okay, all right, I can set up a presentation and make that to you guys again. Any other questions, comments?
Any other questions of Chad?
Oh, you guys are too easy on me today.
Chad, thanks for a great presentation.
Great, thank you.
Great update, and we look forward to future updates. So thank you so much. Okay, next item on the agenda is our president's report, and we'll call on Paul.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll just mention a couple of brief items. I hope everyone is impressed with the work that Chad and his team has been doing. What we're doing is we're whittling away at all the projects. We're rolling them into one big package, and what you'll see next month is what our recommendation will be overall, and then we can have a discussion, and then you can weigh in and establish if our priorities are what you want or how you want to change them. What Chad's been able to do and his team is, first of all, you may have noticed he has broken into the vault of TDCs that Michael Morris has the key to. And that really was developed because of the format that we presented to you when we showed you the cost of the projects and the local match that we were deficient. And once Michael and his team really understood what we were up against from a local match, that's when they started helping us. And so, as you can see, as we move some of those TDCs in, we're able to shift money, local money from some projects, in many cases over to TxRail. So we're able to start moving things around, but only through all the work that Chad and his team did, and then the work that you did in 2 sessions going through all this, have we really been able to establish the groundwork to really have all this make sense. So it'll all come together next month when we price out each project, and we say, this is where the money's coming from, these are our recommendations, what do you think? Does this look good? Do you want to move something around? But this will be your chance to establish the priorities for management to continue to work forward. You'll have all the pieces, they'll all be in front of you, and you can make informed public policy decisions. And that's what we've been working on for the last couple months, is to make this very manageable for you. So we've been working very hard, and Chad and his team, have done a great job. The one additional thing I'll say is on the Katy Lofts is we're looking at tying in the TMP station into that, and we will have a request for information out to developers in May, just to start sitting down and seeing if that's a practical project, if there's interest in what we can do. As I mentioned to you earlier, I'm using the Denver Union Station project, which I worked on in 2020, and I just today got all the documents and leases and everything on that, so we'll have that as a resource document to copy, quite frankly, and see what we can do with that. So we continue to, and I'm kind of repeating a little bit of what Ben said, but we're continuing to build relationships with our sister agencies, DART, DCTA, Council of Governments, municipal governments, and this is something that I'll continue to work on with the staff and with all of you for the rest of my tenure here, and as we prepare for a transition. I'll also be working on an orderly transition as the date for the start of a potential new president and CEO gets announced. That'll tell you about how long I'm going to be here. So it's my goal to work on an orderly transition, and then I'll continue to work carefully on the day-to-day management of the agency. So I want you to know that the staff is working very hard. They're doing a great job, and we appreciate the support of the board as we go through each step. So those are a few things I wanted to say to you today, and with that, I will turn it over to Tito, our vice chair, to give the chair's report.
All right, thank you very much. And the chair's report, as Paul Ballard advised on Friday, Trinity Metro has received back the signed 5-year employment agreement from our new president, CEO, Rich Andreski. And Paul and Trinity Metro Board Chair, Jeff Davis, have signed and executed same on behalf of FWTA. Mr. Andreski will begin his new role as Trinity Metro President and CEO on Monday, June the 20th, 2022. We are fortunate to have had an excellent and very well-qualified pool of national candidates express an interest in our vacant position. As you recall, after a very thorough review and assessment of the applicants, we narrowed our interview selection to 3 candidates. Mr. Andreski was the unanimous choice of the interview panel after the interview process was concluded. He is a public transportation veteran with 23-plus years of experience and more than 10 years of executive leadership. Since 2015, he has served as the Bureau Chief for Public Transportation for the Connecticut Department of Transportation. In this capacity, he oversaw public transportation in Connecticut and had an operating budget of $850 million and a team of 110 planners, engineers, and rail and transit professionals. The Connecticut DOT includes 22 transit providers that serve 80 million people annually. Some of his educational and professional accolades are: he holds a Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania, a Master's of City and Regional Planning from the Edward J. Bluestein School of Planning and Public Policy, Rutgers University, New Brunswick, New Jersey. He has a certificate in jurisdictional crisis incident management, which is a certificate program from Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service, TEAC, College Station, Texas. Leadership, he is a member of the Leadership APTA, class of 2009, which is the American Public Transportation Association in Washington, D.C. Also on APTA, he's co-founder and co-chair of the APTA Emerging Leaders Program, an immersive year-long leadership development program for emerging leaders in the public transportation industry. He also serves on the High-Speed Intercity Passenger Rail Committee and the APTA Awards Committee. We welcome Rich Andreski, his wife Jamie, and his 3 children to our Trinity Metro family and to our community. Also, we'd like to thank Paul for filling in the past few months. We are very fortunate and blessed that he was available to help us. Thank you, Paul, and congratulations to Rich. That concludes the chair's report, Any other business? Seeing none, the board will now break into executive session. The Board of Directors may convene an executive session under the Texas Open Meetings Act for the consultation with its attorney pursuant to Section 551.071, deliberation regarding real estate pursuant to Section 551.072, deliberation regarding prospective gift pursuant to Section 551.073, deliberation regarding personnel matters pursuant to Section 551.074, deliberation regarding security devices pursuant to Section 551.076, and/or deliberations regarding economic development negotiations pursuant to Section 551.087. At this time, we'll break to consider BA 2022-37, Texrail Mahaffey Maintenance Facility Warranty Settlement Agreement.
I'm in love with this brand of pen.
Thank you.
The writing,
Okay, okay.
and then yep, it's their new S-Gel line. I'm a pen nerd. Yeah, it mirrors, yep, okay.
Okay. So then I'll read the recommendation.
Yes.
Then we'll ask for a vote. Motion? Motion, okay. Okay, we'll reconvene our board meeting, and we'll take action on BA 2022-37, Texrail Mahaffey Maintenance Facility Warranty Settlement Agreement. A issue was found with the exterior painting of the Mahaffey Maintenance Facility, and it has now been resolved. The liability was determined and accepted by Imperial Construction Incorporated, and the insurance underwriter, Winchester Fire Insurance Company, has agreed to cover the rework under warranty provisions of the contract with Imperial Construction Incorporated. The amount recovered under the settlement agreement is for $900,357.23. So they will go in soon and I guess scrape off the old paint and seal and repaint the building. We recommend that Trinity Metro Board of Directors authorize the President, Chief Executive Officer to accept and execute the settlement agreement described above. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
I move approval.
Got a motion and a second? Well, we get the paint job, Chad gets no money. So we have a motion and a second. I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say yea. Yea. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you all very much. Seeing no further business, we'll adjourn. Have a good week, and our next meeting is Monday, May the 23rd, 3:30 p.m.